Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Dan and Lori Mercer. I hope we have some new people on the line. And this is our first time doing the couples chat. So, yay. Thanks to my husband for agreeing to this. Thanks to all the other husbands out there.
There's some really good hockey on right now for those of you who aren't on the East Coast. And, well, it's not even on the West Coast. So I'm here willingly, but reluctantly.
So I think we're going to end right in an hour. And yes, the NFL draft also.
Like 1 minute.
Yes. So we sort of didn't pick good on the date. But thank you, everybody. If you guys want to comment or ask a question or come on video like Dina is, hi Dina, your webcam's about to pop up, you can unmute yourself, and we can kind of watch here. If we start seeing too much noise on the line or it gets too echoey, we can go ahead and mute you. We froze up a little bit. So like if you see things freeze up a little bit or break in and out, that's usually an internet connection issue. It could be on our end a little bit because some of our kids are probably watching video right now, but a trick for that is if you call in with your phone so that, you always have the phone connection, and then so you can always at least hear, and then if your screen freezes up, that's probably an internet connection topic. So that's a little bit of logistics. And there's also the chat over on the left that you guys can all type in, and we'll monitor that. You can put questions in as well. And I see some more people. I see Julie and Mary. Yay. Dina, you're there, Dina. Hi, Dina. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Sometimes that happens if you're using your iPad. So awesome. So Julie and Mary are both coming to Flame Fest. Yay.
Yay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Flame Fest is a France 5 weeks away. You guys hear an echo now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little, okay. I'm going to just mute you, so we'll unmute you when you start talking, so that'll work. Okay, so Flame Fest is like 5 weeks away. I've been frantic already about that. You can vouch for that, right?
Yes.
So that's coming up. What I want to do, hi Darcy, I see Darcy's online as well. We have got 13 people online, so that's pretty awesome tonight. We have some questions that came in through the Facebook page, and we have a couple little giveaways tonight. So we've got a ton of decals. So you guys know about some of our biggest sponsors, our Kalo with the Kalo rings. Do you have your Kalo ring on tonight? Yeah. Awesome. There's his. And so we have the Commitment is Courageous decals and a couple Firelight decals as well. These are some new ones. Oops, the right way. So first question we want to ask is, who in this crowd has been married the longest? So go ahead and type into the chat how long it's been married. Yeah, 8 for Lindsay. 13. Taylor was awesome. 4. We're going to do who's been married the shortest, too, so we'll get that out of both of them. Hi, Mary's husband. 18, Christina.
That's going to be hard to beat. Definitely.
It might be hard to beat for people who like to get online and chat.
Yeah, right.
So it's been 20 years.
Oh, 20 years, actually, this past October.
20 years this past October.
Who was 20? Is that you, Darcy?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Okay, 20 for Darcy. 3.5 for Nick and Becky. That might be the shortest. Okay, anybody longer than 20 or less than 3.5? You can type in the chat. Anyone else? No? That might be it. Okay. So Nick and Becky and Darcy, you guys can use the contact form at our website, firefighterwife.com/contact, and just send me your address, And also that's just a reminder note so that we can get your decals mailed out to you. And we see some new people on the screen, Lindsay and Curtis. Yay, I think that's the first official couple webcam that popped up.
Thank you, Curtis, for making me not feel lonely here as the only guy. Makes me feel kind of creepy at times, but
he's creeping in on our party. Yeah. Mary's husband's he's out.
That's all right. Get that.
And I see Caitlin. Welcome, Caitlin. Caitlin's first next step. And Grover, yay. Okay, so Jennifer and Adam?
Yes.
They are the newest, perhaps one of the newest couples that joined Marriage on Fire at FDIC. So,
woohoo!
Glad to have you guys. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we have some questions. Well, first I'm going to make you talk. Remember, I keep saying that the guys are here, and I'm so glad that you guys are doing this with us because we do a lot of women's chats and we have a lot of fun with this. But there's a lot of topics we want to be able to talk about together with our husband. And if he's on shift or whatever, we get it. He actually was supposed to be on shift tonight, but he's got this thing going on and
horrible cold.
He's flushed for real. We didn't make this up. So it's just he happens to be home sick. But that worked out well for doing this. So yeah, if ever we have these and they're on shift, please come anyways. But
Chief Moore, if you're watching, I'm actually sick.
He is. Maybe just give a word to the guys for not just being on an online chat, but kind of what's coming up with Marriage on Fire and doing that together as well.
Everybody here is actually a member of the Marriage on Fire.
Maybe not everybody. We might have some people that aren't members at all yet.
So basically, I think what she wants me to say is that it's not as bad as it seems like it might be. I know I was reluctant initially when she said, hey, let's do a couples video program, and because I'm all supportive of the Firefighter Life thing and obviously the Firefamily.life thing. But when it comes to tutoring people on topics of their marriage, I thought, I don't know that we're really qualified. And it really, the video series is not like going to counseling. It's neither is Flame Fest. I was explaining this to somebody at FDIC. We get drugged to things that our lives drag us to, and this is one of them initially for me. With all right, I'll go because I honor you and I care about you, and I'll do it. It's like going to I'm trying to think of a retail setting. I wouldn't go to the Container Store willingly. She may enjoy that, but it is a lot more than that. There's actually a ton of good that can come from it. We've tried in the Marriage on Fire video series just to make it real life, almost like real life problem solving. And guys, if you're reluctant in that stuff, I understand, but it really comes down to we're speaking in plain language, giving real life examples of things that come up in the firehouse, or the way we might react. The women have a whole different way of sorting out the issues that come up in marriage. And what I tried to do is I tried to bring that whole, hey, from a guy's standpoint, that isn't important. Here's what's important. So it's the same way at Flame Fest. That's the uniqueness of the Marriage on Fire thing. But at Flame Fest, I can't tell you enough, Zach. Some of the guys that have been there can attest. I thought the first year in Atlanta, I was like, okay, we're going to get together with a bunch of wives. And I was blown away. It's a wonderful experience. You're going to meet guys. You're going to meet really nice wives, of course, and women that your wife values and has tremendous friendships with that I never thought could come from an online community. But I've been proved wrong. And you're also getting the opportunity to have fellowship and just get to know dudes, good dudes that are in the fire service, and they just happen to have that same penchant that you do, that they honor and care about their wife enough that they've made a commitment to come from wherever they're at to come together with other people of the same logic. But down and dirty, we're all guys and we're all firefighters, and the same stuff happens whenever a bunch of guys and firefighters get together. There's good laughs, some not so clean jokes, who knows what. So don't be scared, I guess, is the bottom line is what I'm trying to say. It's a good time. I understand showing up at a place with a bunch of guys that you don't know can be not fun at best. And trust me, I was right there the first year in Atlanta. And I was there, honestly, in Chicago too. But now that we've proven it wrong 2 years in a row, I'm really looking forward to getting together with everybody.
Well, and it's more than just like the getting together at Flame Fest, right? Because now our Marriage on Fire community is brand new. So we're trying to do like what we did with the sisterhood, but with husbands as well. So kind of and we have visitors too. It's okay. our first experience with putting couples together in an online community was Financial Peace, and some of you were in that as well. And I think it was a really good experience. I mean, there's some things that just you can't address only as a wife. That when you come together to participate in them, it's really much more powerful. And Marriage on Fire, we hope to be the same way. We've experienced that a little bit, I think, in the Flame Fest online community. That everybody who's going to Flame Fest is now in a group together on Facebook, and that's been a lot of fun. It's also been a little crazy, and sometimes the guys write things and I'm like, I don't even know what to say to that. But it's been good having the husbands and wives together, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or fiancés, whichever state you are in. So Georgia Peach is in the house. You guys are funny. Yay for husband. Sean is here, but he's embarrassed to be sick. No, Dan's sick too. Do you see that? I was like, look how red in the face he is. He really is hot. He'll be shedding his sweatshirt here in a second, I predict. And Jacqueline and Brian. Oh, awesome. Look at all the husbands that are here. Thanks, guys. So, hey, we expect you. This is probably like the most engaged you'll get online, like in this webcam kind of thing. It's kind of, I know he's sitting here being like.
And for the record, if any of you guys are sitting there going, this is odd and uncomfortable, I'm right there with you.
In case he looks odd and uncomfortable, it's legit. But at least in the forums, like when Marriage on Fire starts, which is tomorrow, by the way, and we do hope that you guys get in there and interact and share, because it's not just like me and Dan talking, it's what you guys say to each other that really strengthens your marriages. What we really believe here is that we're just bringing a community together, and we have a lot of stories from our marriage to share, but we don't have every story, right? Like we don't have so much of the volunteer firefighter experience, and a lot of you do. So.
And even the experiences that we do have, we haven't necessarily got it right every time. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of experiences that you folks have had that if you share, may be the aha moment for somebody in the group, and that's a value add to the entire experience itself.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we've seen in the sisterhood, and then what we hope to see in the couples is that, if you're struggling, Financial Peace was a great example. If you guys are arguing over who's doing the checkbook, then there's going to be some other couple that's been there and stepped up with some ideas. So everybody contribute. That's what we're asking, and thanks for being courageous to do that as well. We do have some questions that came in to the Facebook group. And we also would love to see, like, if you guys have any questions over here in the chat. And if they scroll by too fast, just post them again. But I would love to, and if you guys want to come, if you have a question, we can bring you on live and unmute you to ask that question as well. So maybe let's start with that. Does anybody want to be brave and ask a question live and in person?
Does anyone have a question?
Yeah, watching the chat.
Zach, I can't believe your hand's not shooting in the air, man. Yeah, right?
Oh, no, the little one is fine, Caitlin. Did you see? I mean, ours was just in and out, too, so.
Right. I'll be very surprised if there's not, like, at least 4 visitors in the next hour.
Yeah, they're going to ask us why the Internet's running slow. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to one of the questions that we had in our group. And one is just about date nights, like how do you get a regular date night with craziness of life and schedules that go on? There's Adam Payne. And again, this isn't just for us to answer, so if you guys have tips, write it into the chat or come online and share. But I have a little poll. We're going to try a new thing with the poll. You guys are going to see a question pop up. Start voting. Okay, does everybody see the poll? This is a new little technology thing I'm trying.
Man alive.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, I can see results. You guys can't see results. I can change it so you guys can see results.
6 out of 11 of you have had one this week. That's awesome.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
See how we're, like, not a good example. But do you see how motivating that is? If you're going, oh, my gosh, six couples here had a date night this week, that makes me want to, like, go schedule a babysitter right now.
But more to the question of how to navigate a regular date night with the craziness of life and schedules. Lori will tell you, and I will attest and confess that I was never a scheduler prior to being married. I did what I wanted to when I was single. And I did it when I wanted to because I had no obligations. I had no, my time was my own. When we got married, started having kids, there was just no denying the fact that we were going to have to schedule stuff. So it sounds cliche and it sounds trite, but I think the single best way that you can get a date night in is to schedule it. And again, I know that sounds trite and corny, and I hate, trust me, ask her, I hate putting things on the calendar. Our calendar is full enough, and I don't need one more thing that I'm obligated to do. But I find that if we don't do it, if she doesn't put it on the calendar and I don't commit to it and say, yeah, I know it's there, and I know we're doing that at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, we're just not going to do it. It's not going to get done. So that's my, I know that's not the answer, and that seems like a real simple answer to a complicated question, but if it's because of your schedule that you're not getting it in, you got to schedule it. You just got to give it priority. And it isn't that simple. I know that's easy for me to orate and just throw out there. But that's the basis of the answer, and you take the steps through the week to make it so you can make that appointment.
Well, and I sort of got to step back because we sort of had a date today.
Yeah.
Right? So we had, our schedules just aligned that he was going to get a haircut and I was leaving a meeting and we were near each other in town and we went to, do you want a Starbucks? Meet me at Starbucks. And I'm like, I got 15 minutes before my next phone call. So we had a 15-minute Starbucks date. And to be honest with you, it was a little weird for me because my job just changed and my hours changed, and I don't have to be in the office as much. So for me to take time in the middle of the day, just random, to not work, because I'm a little bit of a workaholic, you probably admit, and I'm like, hey, let's just go to Starbucks.
And this is something I do 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Drop into Starbucks, grab a cup of coffee, read 30 pages out of a book. That was
yeah.
For her, that's holy mackerel.
Yeah.
That's quote for me.
And yeah, so anyways, I think part of it is the state of mind, right? Because I sort of didn't even count that as a date because I was all weirded out by oh, it's middle of the day and I'm not working, I'm going to Starbucks. I mean, I should have been hey, I'm out with my husband. So it's somewhat of a state of mind. If you only have 15 minutes, and Sylvia, I see your comment about a mommy-centered toddler.
We didn't do it nearly as much as
when the kids were little.
They were far more scarce when everybody was really little, and I thought I was going to lose my mind. I really did.
And if you have multiple children, sometimes you even sort of squeeze a date in by just taking one child with you. It feels like a break suddenly when it's just only one child. And again, it's kind of the state of mind, right? What else would we do? Oh, get them to bed and try to make you not exhausted so that your date happens after that. That's also a good tip. Dina had the same problem with toddlers. Darcy says they try once a week. And I'm going to read these chat things because not everybody can see in the recording. They can't see the chat, so I have to read them out loud if it feels like I'm rereading to you. Darcy says they try to do once a week, whether it's just watching a movie or even going to McDonald's for breakfast before work. Yes, FDIC counted as a lot of dates for a lot of people. Yeah, I like the breakfast dates because that's totally a perk of the fire service, right? That a lot of people don't have that in their work schedule, so to be able to do a lunch or a breakfast is awesome. And Caitlin says, oh, yes, bought tickets to go to a Tigers game for a date. That's awesome.
Yes.
That sounds really fun. Ready for summertime dates. And there's a cute puppy. I didn't see the puppy.
I'm feeling a little neglected.
Where's the puppy? Oh, there's the puppy. How fun. And Tina says that oh my gosh, that is an adorable puppy.
Great.
Dina says that they trade with my sister so we both get breaks. Yes, firefighter appreciation night at the baseball game. I'm definitely trying to consolidate some lists of those for us so so that we can have a place to always find those firefighter discounts and firefighter events. People are starting to send those our way, so that's helpful. Makes you put something on the calendar for sure. And trading the child care is good. Does anybody have any other fire family that like works a different unit day that you can trade with? I know some people are really lucky enough to have that. Zach mentioned that they have breakfast or lunch date. Oops, it's scrolling by too fast. Yeah, nighttime date, sometimes you're too tired. I mean, we have the same thing. Sometimes you just get to the end of the night, and even if we've got the sitter scheduled, I think we're like, oh.
Oh, yeah. There's been times when I've gone out the door with her thinking, I don't know if I'm going to make it. We'll go to Barnes & Noble. One of Lori and I's favorite dates is we'll go to Barnes & Noble. We both love to just take 5 or 6 books off the shelf, grab a cup of coffee, and go sit someplace comfortable and read. You know, she's got this ism about reading books that she doesn't finish them. I enjoy the opportunity to start several books, and then I'll go back and finish them. But there's been several times when we've been at a date like that where my eyes were stinging and so heavy. I mean, I was happy to be in her presence, but if you save it until 8:30 when everybody's in bed, and then by the time you get there, it's now 9:15, and I've got to work in the morning, and
yeah,
and I'm sunburnt because I mowed the lawn, and you know, we get it, totally get it.
Yeah, the book date idea, and who just mentioned, Julie said popcorn and movie in the bed. So, like, movies put me to sleep. That one doesn't work for me, especially if I'm in bed. But I know some of you really, like, that's a great time. We're going to talk about bedroom sanctuary, by the way. That's part of, not tonight, that's like part of Marriage on Fire. And we talked about that before in the sisterhood. But, you know, how do you make your bedroom a place that when you walk in, it's like, like, not a place that's like, oh, I've got piles of laundry to fold, and there's that project we didn't finish. Because, you know, when you have house guests, like you're having dinner guests, and then what's the one room in the house that you shove everything because you know they're not going to ask to go into? It's the master bedroom, right? So we end up having piles of stuff in our master bedroom. And when you keep that, you know, picked up, whenever there's picked up and it's, like, neatly made and there's not piles of stuff everywhere, it feels so, I don't know, it just, like, really relaxes me when I walk in. So there's a tip for the bedroom.
I can take you guys all with a camera right now, and if you know Lori well, you've been following the website, we painted our house around the holidays. That was Christmas. It's now almost May.
Yeah.
May.
Yeah.
Every picture, every photo, every piece of whatever came off the walls to be painted is in our master bedroom. And it can't go fast enough.
It is. Did you know how after you paint, you're like gun shy with nails in the wall again? I am. Like, raise your hand if you're gun shy with that, right? I'm totally like, I don't want to like put nails back in the wall and all our fresh paint, so we haven't hung lots of things back up. It's like we just moved in. Like we have a new house to get in. Lindsay and Curtis look like they're having too much fun. Yay, Christina just joined us. Okay, we're going to come back to that topic, Christina, because I like what you guys are doing. Okay, Adam said, last time Jennifer and I had a movie date, it was Ladder 49 on the couch with popcorn, and the phones dropped. During the movie, ooh. So you guys are volunteers. That's right. Jennifer and Adam are volunteer. All right, so I'm jumping all over topics, but let's go to the volunteer topic for a second, right? So the tones dropping in your living room. Oh, I have a poll question to that. Run an audience poll. Just so we know, everybody can see the poll, and we'll start answering now. What type of fire department are you with, so we know how many volunteers, how many career? Yeah, you could do it. No, for real, I'm going to tell that story.
I know.
The votes are still coming in a little bit. So it's about 50% career, 30% volunteer, and 20-ish% combo. Okay, awesome. So the reason I bring that up is because we had a little thing today with tones dropping in our house, which is weird because he's career, not volunteer, and
I work part-time for a much smaller department way out in a rural area about 30 miles outside the outer belt of the city. A chief that I used to be a firefighter with took on that department, and he asked me to come out there and help him out with some experience. So I started working out there. They instituted this smartphone app as a way to notify, because it's a combination volunteer and paid department. And so they've got this active 911 application on my phone that they recently installed. And the lieutenant who set it up for me set up my phone so that when they get a call, mine was going off as if I was a volunteer. And it was the first time ever in 14 years that we were sitting at the house and I got a notification that there was a run. And we both thought to ourselves, that's what the volunteers, and we were at dinner. We were sitting at dinner when it happened, and the kids thought it was hilarious. And so it gave us a little bit of a taste of that whole, you just never know when the call's going to come. And I can say with absolute sincerity that I don't know. I give volunteers so much credit because you're doing stuff that's so much bigger than yourself, and I don't know if I could do it the way you guys do it.
Well, definitely, like, hearing the tones in our house, like, set me on edge. I was like, ugh, like, what is that? I don't want to hear that. Like, it definitely set me on edge. So, yeah, that was...
When she visits the station, our tones go off like 22 times a day.
When I call you,
yeah.
And the tone's going off in the background, right? I mean, because every time you call, the tones go off, right? So, yeah, that is definitely...
So she got a little irritated in her nest. There was some tones dropping in her nest.
Yeah.
I get freaked her out.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so there was a volunteer question, and I know Nick and Becky, you guys do the volunteer thing. How do you guys, and I'm just going to maybe put you on Front Street, who on the video camera is a volunteer? I mean, Curtis is not volunteer, right, or does he do both? No, I can't hear them.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Becky, can you hear us? I unmuted you.
Curtis does both.
He does both too. Okay. And let me see if I can unmute you, Lindsay. Okay, Lindsay's unmuted.
Well, that's definitely on. Who is echoing?
With a lot of feedback. Okay, so Lindsay's microphone's not working. Adam was, Julian Adam was also volunteer. Okay, so the question was, I mean, how do you guys, how have you guys made that choice between, hey, it's more important right now to stick with the family versus I got to go take that run right now? Because, you might be over that path, but there's a lot of younger couples, newly married, that are still struggling with that. So they really wanted to hear some feedback.
And I know that in a lot of volunteer departments, especially the one that I work for in Grandview, there's a duty rosters even for the volunteers. So like you aren't constantly always on call. But I know that's not the case for some. For some more rural areas, it's all hands all the time, and if you're available, you go. Or if you are available and want to go, or you can go, or you're close enough to go, you go. So we're not really referring to the whole taking runs that you're not obligated to take if you're not on that duty. We're talking more of the people that are constantly on call, and my heart goes out to you guys who basically carry a page 24/7 and have to make that decision on if they're engaged in the family and the tones drop. They have to take off. We're wondering if there's anybody can lend the insight into what's the breakover point? When does staying involved in what's going on? Had to stay in what's been going on in your family, taking priority over the one.
Yeah. And Missy, I unmuted you to answer that, but I hear that your grandkids are over, so I muted you back. But Jennifer Grover, you are unmuted, and do you guys want to introduce yourself and answer that one?
I'm Adam.
Go ahead.
We're actually a really small department, and we cover 72 square miles out of one department with 3 trucks. So, and on average, it may be me, the only one showing for a med run for a fire. I may have 4 or 5 guys, and I'm just relying on mutual aid to get there as soon as I can. So we do what we can. So usually when the tones drop, regardless of what's going on, I drop what's going on and I'm out the door. Gear goes in both vehicles wherever we go. I mean, she's just adapted to it and is willing to accept the fact that when the tones drop, whatever I'm doing stops and I go.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also released that program with the National Volunteer Fire Council, so if any of you haven't seen that yet, we do have that whole program on the volunteer families, or you can get them to
I feel like I'm all leaning in.
You can get those programs to share with the other families at your department as well. That's free online. Okay, Nick and Becky, I'm going to unmute you. You are 970 there.
I think more to the point of what we were trying to, somebody asked that what do you do when the pager suddenly becomes more important in the family? And it doesn't sound like it's the case, and obviously we're not going to throw any stones or throw anybody under the bus, because I get it. There was a time in Lori and I's life when there were things that I wanted to do with her and the family, but man, there were things there was trainings that came up, there were opportunities to network with people that I just knew I had to go do if I was ever going to make it. A name for myself or to show a level of dedication in the fire service. I had to go out to the TA and help in that training fire with the cadets. Right? I know our talk is cheap in the fire service, and trust me, a lot of guys do a crap ton of it. That drives me nuts. People want you to produce, want you to do. It's just we're doers. So I have been there, and I've had to put it in front of Lori and the kids. We did for a while. It was a horrible season, and thank God we made it through it. I think we're just the point we're trying to make is that we just want to be sure that everybody understands that if it literally is becoming more important in your family, then that's a symptom of a much larger problem. Nothing can be more important than Lori and the kids. I mean, other than we were talking about this. I was emptying the dishwasher. We were cleaning up dinner, and I said, if going to the firehouse, if carrying that pager and answering that pager means we eat, then absolutely. Or it affords us more, a better opportunity to make it through the winter. Always go back to like caveman mentality. If that's what got us through the winter, then I'll do whatever we got to do. But if it's just supplementary, if I'm just helping the community, well, the community's got to step up. Service before self, but they're all counting on me as well. And I just think it's a symptom of a larger problem that needs to be addressed if you're always putting it before. And I sincerely apologize if I'm talking outside my skill set. That goes for anything. I'm not talking about just a volunteer firefighter pager. If I was choosing to, I got guys that hunt like crazy, and I know guys that just go to the range and shoot, and there's bowlers, and there's pick something.
Yeah.
If you're placing it in front of your family, and I've been guilty of it. I'm not sitting here throwing stones in a glass house. I've been guilty of it. But the point we're trying to make is if it's taking priority over your family, you got to have an honest conversation with yourself and understand. I would run. It was my way of running. I would go train. I would go. One more thing. I got to do this. I can train with this. I can go there. Dale, you want there? Sorry, should we mention it? People asked me to go do stuff, and I would say yes because I was running. It was my way of screaming about how difficult it was in our marriage initially, and I didn't have to stay and confront it.
There's a lot of good points here I want to read out of the chat just so they don't scroll by too fast. I mean, Lindsay, that's a really honest statement for you to say you didn't think you could handle it, and together you guys decided to not work for local ambulance service, and then also that the fire department doesn't allow him to volunteer because of risk of injury. It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a lot on top of already being a fire service job. And then Mary says, yeah, your husband works a lot of overtime. We have that going on with us as well. It used to be a bigger concern for us because when the kids were little, like, Caitlin has the little one there, and Sylvia mentioned it, you'd sometimes be counting the seconds until the shift was over, and then you'd get the call that there was a whole nother 24, and sometimes that would just break you. I think I'm now at a point that we can really plow through another 24 if needed, but it's...
Missy makes a great point there that I miss, right? I love, this is what this is good for. Missy says runs don't come in as often, and they don't utilize their skills, so when a run does come in, the guys want to answer it to keep their skills sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, bravo. I mean, that is absolutely a legitimate reason to be taking runs, and I have no argument for that. And that's why I'm so happy to be part of this discussion, is because that's something I wouldn't have even thought of.
Yeah, and Christine makes a good statement too. And then Becky, I want you to chime in. Christine said that you guys just had an agreement that he wouldn't just hang out at the station and take medic calls, especially if there are already a bunch of other people there. But that he would always go for a squad call. So if you kind of get an agreement like that, I think that's a good way to do it. Yes, communication. I mean, see, now one of our whole sections of Marriage on Fire is communication, and this is a great topic. And then Zach said he started filtering the levels call based my volunteer response on that. So a propane medical versus a code versus a working fire. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I bet you wish you could do that someday. That's not fair.
I never do anything if I...
That's not fair to say.
That's true.
And then your department, that's good. Your department had a pager system so you could tell who was responding and who's not responding. And it's hard with our work schedules as well. Yeah. Oh, look at all the comments. You guys are making some great comments here. Missy, I know you guys do a lot of hanging out at the firehouse and being involved there. That's awesome. 1,000% communication. The dive and heavier tech rescue calls were no-brainers. Yeah, I mean, if you're specialized in that, they don't come in often. I mean, that's one of those things I would even, as a wife, I mean, I feel the whole like, hey, you're skilled, go do it. Go help. Whenever there's you're not as much on that task force stuff now, but, when that was happening before, I sort of understood that, hey, if there's something big, he's going to go because that's what he's here for. And then Zach said, that was much later. Oh, gotcha. That was much later when you were a volunteer. Okay. Becky, can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. So Nick's been volunteer for 6. We've been together for almost 5 years and married 3.5. And when we first got married, it was a challenge, learning that just because the pager went off didn't mean that he got to eat dinner. He had to go. But now it's kind of routine. I actually get excited. I ask what kind of call it is. But we've also got to the point, too, where we can communicate, and I can tell them, I'm sorry, but I really need you to be at home for this, or I need you to go to this meeting we have planned, or whatever. But a lot of it's flexibility, understanding, and communication is what has kind of helped us get through it, and it sucks sometimes, but in a small farming community, pager goes, you got to help, so...
That's absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I was asking Lori if we lived in a small community like that. We were kind of doing the role play, and I said I would have to, if I was one of maybe 3 or 4 guys, and I know this happens in small departments. You get like 4. If they say 20% of the people do 80% of the work, right? So if I'm like,
that's about right.
If I'm one of those 4 or 5 guys who are always answering calls, I would really hope that I would have the courage I would just stand up to the community and say, listen, we've done this at church before. We'll just step into those spaces and gently at first, but with intention, you just tell people, you've got to start shouldering some more of this load. You can't I want to see my daughter's recital. I want to see my, son's little league baseball game. I'm missing all of that, and you're not. If we're gonna talk about being firefighters together, and that we're gonna sacrifice for each other and be there for each other, let's do it outside the firehouse as well, or off the fire ground, or outside the medical call. That's a big part of the job.
Sean's comment is awesome. Sean Sebo said, Christine was excited the first time or two until she had to sleep in my truck on the side of her bridge when I ran a dive operation. That's Fire Wife Life right there. That's volunteer Fire Wife Life. Awesome.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
It's a little easier for us because we don't have kids, but we joke at the department. I go to meetings quite often. In fact, I get called when I don't come to meetings on Monday. But the guys joke, like, can you tell other wives, and not just myself, but we joke as the auxiliary, have a book in the car. I've known to been in a car closer to the station than home. I'll just hang out at the fire station and read my Kindle or grade papers. I've learned just to keep stuff that's accessible. When I go to the station, I'll keep myself busy. I've cleaned the station when they were on call. Yeah, again, like Dan said, it's part of being a family. And there have been times when the guys have had to come to Jesus meeting with some of the other guys and saying, it's part of our department's requirements. They need, 10%? 20% calls to be considered active. And we're a paid to call department, so there's a little more incentive for our guys to go on calls. But it's just a big community. And even to the point where sometimes one of the guys at home with the kids, and I've been called twice, hey, can you come watch my kiddos so I can go on the call? Wholeheartedly, absolutely would love to.
Yeah, you guys are in an awesome community that does that. Oh, but now there's teenagers. Look what happens when teenagers come in there and they ask for money. That's awesome. Okay, thanks, Becky. I really appreciate your volunteer perspective on that. Yeah, maybe you should be writing some blog posts for us on that. That would be great. Okay, I'm gonna switch topic quickly. Christina, are you unmuted? Yeah, Christina, what is the beginning of your phone number again, the first three numbers, and I will unmute you. Maybe she's not there. Oh, 708, there we go. Okay, so Christina and Chad are up in the Chicago area, and she said they were late because they were doing something super important, and I'm going to just call us all out on it because we are like 90%
and have been for like 2 years.
Estate planning and life insurance. And actually, this is something that we're going to talk about a little bit at Flamefest as well with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, but just being prepared in case something happens. So yeah, we are like this close. Like we just have to turn in a little more life insurance stuff and our will. The task is on his plate, by the way. I've done everything. And Missy says they're in the middle of that as well. Okay, Christina, are you unmuted? Do you want to just give the big shout out about why we all need to be doing this and why you guys finally are doing it tonight?
Finally tonight. Chad, it's always been in his mind. We've been saving really well since we haven't had a car payment this past year. So we've been putting a lot of money away. And, he's been thinking, we've had my sister passed away. It'll be 3 years ago. There's been several not even line of duty deaths in our area, but freak accidents with firefighters that he's known. And he just wants our family to be covered for the next at least 20 to 30 years, to grow the kids up. What if it's me? Or what if, we're together on a trip and something happens? So it's been on his mind for a while to do that. And so he made the appointment last week, and we got our life insurance. Each of us got a life insurance policy. And also another thing we learned about was, and he's upstairs putting the kids to bed, I think it's called critical care insurance, too. It covers against cancer, heart attack, stroke, and it gives you up to $100,000 for a nominal, monthly payment. So we also opted for that, even though the dog didn't come near us at FDIC. But we told the guy that too. He was laughing. But this man, he also works with firefighters, and he has one of the Chicago firemen has come on board with him. So at least he's familiar with, pay scales and retirement options for that the firefighters are given. So that's how we heard through him, and we have an appointment with our attorney for next week to get our trust in order and our wills for each of us, and so we'll link the life insurance policies to the trusts. And it's just, it's something we've been putting it off since last Flame Fest when we heard for Wills for Heroes last year when I can't remember her name when she talked about it. So we've just been putting it off, and it was time, and it was going through. I'm a very anxious person. I don't like to deal with death, and having to sit down and make those decisions was very, very hard. All I could think about was I need a glass of wine. I need something to relax. But, I got through it. I just breathed my way through it and said, you know what, and now I feel better. Like I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders, and, it'll be done. And now we have the second part. I think the will part is going to be harder than this silly life insurance part was. So, but.
Yeah. It is. It takes a little more effort. There's more things you have to think about with the will.
Sure.
And if you have Wills for Heroes in your area, that's like an organization of lawyers that kind of do pro bono work for police, fire, military. I don't think we have any around here, but just a couple, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, but I will tell you that if you own your own business or if you have stepchildren, blended family kind of situation, your will gets a little more complicated, and so like ours is going to be more than $400 when it's all said and done, because we just have a couple of those complications going as well. And I'm really glad that you mentioned disability insurance is what I was going to say. I forget what you just called that, Christina. A different kind. Critical care.
Critical care. Yeah.
Okay, because what I hear about more often, and this has been like my big thing I've started really pressing couples on is, you might get injured and not die, but then have years that you can't work, that you can't provide for your family, and that you have very high medical bills. And that scenario, sadly, is almost worse financially for your family. We just relooked at this for us, and because I just changed to an independent contractor status, and I also just had the guy come over and do the little blood work and get the needle stick just yesterday so that we could change my disability insurance as an independent worker because, I don't have an employer anymore that covers that. So those are things you should all definitely be looking into. Wills for Heroes has been an organization I've really tried to connect with for firefighter wife, and they tend to run very independently by state. Because, wills are very specific to where you're living, unfortunately. So if anybody has any good connections there at a higher level, I'd love to get some of their input on a webinar here.
What I want to say about I mentioned that too, because the firefighter who was with us, with the gentleman tonight, he said that that's who he went through to get his will, and our financial advisor or whatever, I don't even know what he's called because Chad does all of this stuff, so I don't even know any of this stuff. So the insurance man, we'll call him, he said that, he goes, I'm totally for Wills for Heroes, but I want to make sure that you talk to, not this guy, Wills for Heroes aren't real attorneys, but to make sure they're covering all of the facets that not a big shot attorney, but a real attorney would cover, like a paying attorney would cover, because they might not cross all the T's and dot all the I's that need to be in order to link things together. So that's all he advised us. I don't know.
I agree. I think if you have a real simple, straightforward situation, and like say you're a young couple and you don't have kids yet, and you just want to get something in place, that's probably a good option. But if you have any wrinkles, I'd say that. Who didn't have wills or powers of attorneys, I mean, it creates a big headache if one of you passes, because basically, here's how it works. If you don't have a will and one of you dies, then everything that's in that person's name goes into the property of the state, or probate, I think it's called. And then, you have to go through the living spouse has to go through a bunch of legal work to just even get things back in their name. And the state has to decide, like, oh, should we give it to you or not? And if there's an ex-wife or ex-husband or stepchildren involved, it gets super complicated. So, yeah, that's exactly what's going on there. Or multiple ex-spouses. That gets fun. Okay, so hey, we're gonna hit this a little bit at Flame Fest. What we hope at Flame Fest is, and I'm saying that because a whole bunch of you on the call are coming to Flame Fest, so that makes me excited. We don't want to make a boring part of the event, but we sort of thought if you're all going to be there, having some connected time together, it's a good time to just say, all right, let's at least take 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and write down what our intentions are here, and make a little pact together to go finish it up. So, and that's going to be presented by National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. And Christine and Sean, I think they're going to do a little extra special talk there. They said they would. I still have to give them some details around that, but I still hope they'll do that for us, because they are very, very much involved in that organization that's now a partner of ours, so we're excited for that. Okay, so getting up towards 10 o'clock, and are there any other questions before? I do have one more question here, but if there's something in the group that we want to talk about, go ahead and drop it in. Wish we could go to Flame Fest maybe next year, yeah. Oh, Chad's sick too? Okay, no.
I was blaming it on
We were wondering who at FDIC maybe gave him a cold.
The day we got back from Indianapolis, I'm like,
yeah, he started.
Yeah,
he started a couple days later, I think. But I don't know if it's allergies or what. But he just went to the doctor today, and they put him on another round of antibiotics and an allergy shot, and yeah, crazy stuff.
Come in.
There's our visitor.
Pumpkin. So.
Okay, so I do have to put in a plug and say that today is officially the last day to register, but if any of you people who are on here saying you want to go could still go, we would take you even a couple days past now. We do still have a few slots to fill, and it would really help us out. And, Jacqueline has a great question. Will Brian / the other person get a separate login once Marriage on Fire begins? Yes. So we got, let me just share. I'm going to share the desktop here for a second. And do you guys see the Marriage on Fire screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. My computer is getting a little slow, so the chat is not coming up. But I just wanted to show you the Marriage on Fire screen. Once you log in, and it's doing something a little funny there at top, but this is the home page, and there will be videos. Our initial video will be loaded tomorrow, and we do have an online forum. We also have a Facebook community that we'll start putting you guys in tomorrow. And then basically each week we had a video, a challenge exercise, one for the husband, one for the wife, and one for you both together. And then we reference a lot of articles or resources while we're, presenting in the video. So we're going to link those to those pages as well. And the first week, the topic is commitment. So we will have that all loaded up. I'm going to say by the end of the day tomorrow, because I have some videos still processing overnight. And what the piece that we're missing right now, Jacqueline, is that I need to manually create new logins for the spouse. So we thought we had that automated, but it's not working yet. So whoever signs up is going to get all the emails, and then we will create a login for you as well.
And that's right, Christina. Zach, if you're going to Flame Fest, you are automatically registered for the course.
That's right. And tomorrow also you will be getting your login information. I have not gotten that to you yet. I can't get back to the chat thing.
I don't know why, because I don't know what she's been doing.
Yeah, we've been...
Sitting on the couch.
Oh, there we go. Resume screen sharing. Yeah, so everybody who's going to Fling Fest gets into Marriage on Fire for free. And a lot of you who are new on this call tonight either subscribed at FDIC or on the website. So that's awesome. Thank you guys. And I'm just looking at some other comments up here to make sure I miss. And if we are missing anything, you guys can use the contact form at the website and just say, hey, my access isn't working or whatever. That's our best way to kind of provide customer service so we don't miss anything. So, yeah, thank you guys for doing that. But I will tell you that we try to keep the videos 15 to 20 minutes, and one of them I know for sure went 45. So I'm not sure if I'm going to chop it or just give it all to you, and you guys can give us feedback because it is a very new thing for us, and we can adjust it, and we'd love your feedback on Marriage on Fire. So, and you'll already see there's some bonuses there linked down here in the Marriage on Fire homepage. Okay, let's see. I'm going to stop screen sharing, and what else do we need to say? Oh, I know, Lindsay Kaufman, especially since you just popped up down there in the chat. You sent a great question our way. Now I just called you out for what the question is, but I love the question, so I'm gonna address it. We were talking, and I have the pleasure that Lindsay lives super close to me, and so we get together for coffee every once in a while. But the topic is, how do we retain our identity as individuals and couples, and not get sucked into identifying as a fire family, fire wife, firefighter. And so I'll tell you guys one thing, and then we'll wrap this up for the night. Like, I did not own a single fire t-shirt before doing all of this. I honestly didn't identify with it very much at all.
I think she actually tried to distance herself from it, quite honestly, for a long time.
I did. I did because his department's busy. It's one station. The families aren't super close, not because we wouldn't be close, but because everybody lives so far from each other. That's really the main reason that we aren't so close. And so I never felt super connected, to the fire service, honestly, until, we started blogging about marriage topics, and then it sort of exploded into this fire service thing. And now, of course, obviously I feel super connected, and we're at all the events, and it's a blast, and we have lots of friends like you guys. But it can be easy to not, to not over-identify, because what I like to...
It can be easy to over-identify.
It can be easy to over-identify. But what we have to remember is...
I think the Rangers just scored.
The Rangers must have just scored. Yes, we heard that. Yes. At any moment, you guys could be injured and not be able to do the firefighting job. And we have some wives in our community like that. Their husband's been off on injury for a year, 18 months, may get put on medical retirement. And if you've always identified with being around the fire service, that can be a really, really hard step. I mean, it's the same thing for me. I always wonder, like, maybe I'm a weirdo, but I work on a computer and I type a lot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if something happened to one of my hands, or happened that I couldn't see, and I couldn't do this thing that's so much me, on the computer, and it is tied one-to-one. So, I mean, you said it. You were saying earlier that.
Yeah, I'm a big firm believer in. Although this is a job I love, and it has my undivided attention. I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years, and one of my stints between deployments, I drove for a colonel, a very professional man who, he had made a career in the Marine Corps. He was a full bird colonel. He was the head of the entire divisions of logistics, and he shared with me in a drive one day out to 29 Palms out in Southern California. He said, he had educated himself. He loved the Marine Corps. He was all about being a Marine, and it was his career. But he had B plans. He had a couple of B plans. He'd educated himself. He'd become familiar with other things. To the voice he was speaking to was saying, he told me, he didn't call me Dan. He used to call me Ace. But he'd say, never get so comfortable in here that you. Why are you laughing at my nickname?
I hadn't heard that in a really long time, and now I'm going to remember it. Ace.
But he shared with me, he said, don't ever get so comfortable inside this fence, and he was referring to the Marine Corps, that you can't walk out tomorrow and be a functioning person outside of this job. This is not who you are. This is what you do. And I was probably 22 or 23 years old at the time, a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And that rung true. That really did. It really stung because I wasn't. It was everything my whole life was wrapped around being a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And coming from him, I knew it wasn't with an agenda. It was he meant it from his heart. We had a good relationship, and why else would a colonel be talking to a sergeant in that capacity in a vehicle all by himself? So I've kept that little nugget in my head the whole time, and I firmly believe, and I tell young people in the fire service that come to our station the same thing. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is not who you are. You need to be sure and take time to develop who you are as a person outside of the fire service. So God forbid you get laid off. The whole stinking city goes broke, and you get you can't find work in this capacity. I personally don't know right now what I would do.
I know what you do. He always said this. He's like, if I have to drive a truck, 7 days a week, 24/7 for our family, I drive a truck across this country. That's always his example.
Yeah. I know I would do something. I tell her all the time I would sell apples off of the cart if I had to so we could eat. But be sure that you're being honest with yourself that you would do that or that you could do that. And it's not going to be the end of your world if suddenly you couldn't be a firefighter. I'm just like everybody who's probably on this call. It would break my heart. It would probably take me, I hope I could get over it in a month. Like if I was laid up, something happened, I was physically hurt, or just the job got taken from me. But I would hope that I would have, again, the courage and the fortitude and be enough of a person to step outside of it and go, all right, well, that's over, but I'm still Dan. She's still Lori. I still got this family, and it's not who I was. It was what I was doing. It's what I do, and and trust me, I love it. I have a passion for it. All my chips are in. I'm pot committed to the fire service, but I have other abilities and other capabilities, or at least I keep an open mind of this is not guaranteed. And I think as long as you keep that healthy mindset, you don't have to be training to be an attorney on the side. You don't have to go to a vocational school and become a plumber just in case or anything like that. But you got to keep that healthy mindset that there's a whole other world out there of people who aren't firefighters, who don't understand firefighting, and you may be at one point thrust into that world.
Well, and I think I want to close on the topic of, number one, all of our awesome husbands that came to do this with us tonight. Have them back. A little more than that. But somebody said, hey, the young guys need to hear that. And for you guys to, I'll just challenge you to keep reaching out. The reason we say commitment is courageous is because it's not the most popular route to take. And when we were young in our marriage, he had some guys tell him to divorce me. She's not cut out for this. And they need more people in their life speaking positive things. So
I love that. I'm a firefighter for 24 hours, and then I'm a husband, father, woodworker, brother, godparent, and friend. That's awesome, Brian. That's exactly it. We are blessed to be part of an occupation where we can literally, at the end of shift, I know at roll call, off-going roll call, I equate it to being able to close the books. And if I don't want to, I don't have to think about that place again until I'm on the road there in 48 hours.
Yeah.
I know not everybody has that ability in the volunteer and the combination and stuff, but that's not an everyday thing either. Sometimes I think about it I've got a training coming up. I got to do an IOSH report training. I've been thinking about work a lot.
Studying for promotional tasks.
Yeah. But as long as you've got that healthy balance and you understand that, like I said, it's not who you are, it's what you do, then you've got the game whipped. And I love somebody said pass that on to the young guys. You're absolutely right. One of my pet peeves is the cultural toxicity that exists in the fire service. in relation to the younger guys and the attitude towards family life and marriage. And if we can turn that turtle over, then oh my gosh, we've boom, done huge stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's 10:06, so I don't want to take up too much more of your guys' evening. Any parting comments? This was fun.
Yeah, we'll call it fun.
Everybody go get your will done.
Go get your will done.
And your life insurance policies.
And your life insurance. Last chance to sign up for Flame Fest. Look for Marriage on Fires by the end of the day tomorrow. Pray that all the video processes well overnight and gets uploaded.
We start and go at our own liberty. That doesn't, we're on not any time restraint or anything like that. How does it work? I missed that part.
Yeah, no, this one we're doing self-paced. We're going to see how that goes, if we want to do another chat like this sometime during it, based on how the interaction in the group is going. But it's self-paced. We're going to load the video once a week. And then actually once it's loaded, people can join in at any time. They don't have to join in just now. It'll be loaded. You're a subscriber for a year, and you'll always have access to that. And there will be ongoing things that we add to that community as well throughout the year. So, yeah. And who knows, maybe we'll start doing couples rescue packs like we do in the sisterhood. Stuff will develop, I have no doubt.
Lori and I have talked at length, and it's obvious, with Zach and Chad, and I'm not leaving anybody out. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not lifting anybody up, even myself. Zach said, "Hey, thanks for all your hard work." Zach, I didn't do anything. I sit here and drink freaking Mio, And I'm just lucky to be here. She's the one that does all the work. But there is a space that we as guys could step into in that firefamily.life thing, and I think it's a space, as much as the ladies have done with Firefighter Wife, and it's drawn the attention of, it really has, it's drawn the national attention of the fire service. The editors of Firehouse Magazine and Fire Engineering are clamoring for her audience because they know that this is a message that needs to get out there. Let's talk at Flame Fest, all you guys that are coming, about how we can generate the same sort of healthy relational organization for firefamily.life and get it taken off to address those things that we know naturally as guys we can address. There's things that the wives can address, and obviously they have an end around in getting in our heads and in creating healthy atmospheres. But I think there's a real opportunity in the not-for-profit space to try to, like I said, you turn that turtle over of the toxic attitude towards that some people have in the fire service towards a healthy, happy life, married lifestyle.
I think if we can bring that more into the firehouses and the guys bringing it in instead of the guys saying, "Oh, my wife is in this group with firefighter wives," I think it'll be much more easily received. And I know Chad's on right now talking. He's listening right now, and I can just see, I guess, them listening more to me or to him than me, because a couple of guys came to our booth at FDIC, and they were like, well, I guess I'll get her a shirt. I'm like, well, you're missing the point. It's not about the shirt, but I've tried to put in my 2 cents is the wrong word, my knowledge of our group, and they just kind of dismiss it. So, but I think it's more well received from the guy's standpoint.
Yeah, and it takes time. That doesn't, you don't change that atmosphere overnight. But I'll tell you that when we sit and have our high-level discussions about how everything's going and what we're doing, I said, ultimately, I want to change the culture in the fire service. I don't want another young couple to have another firefighter say to them, "You need to divorce her. She's not cut out for it." Or, to just be picking at, "Don't talk about your wife. That's not cool." We just really, throw all this aside, how many people join us, how many Facebook likes we get. I don't care. We really want to change the culture, and that's a long-term mission. And it takes each one of us stepping out, each one of you guys especially stepping out and being that example. So thank you guys for doing that. Thank you, Christina and Chad. And we do have, I do have ways now for departments that are on board to buy annual subscriptions for their entire department. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, yes. We're wearing SCBAs on the fires now.
The culture can be changed.
There's a ton of great examples like that. Christine, that are exactly that. That's what I say all the time when people are like, I don't think the guys will buy into that. I'm like, for God's sakes, we used to not wear SCBAs. That used I wasn't around when that happened, but apparently when SCBAs first started being worn in the fire service, there was a whole contingency of people like, that's crap. Why the heck would you use one of those things? And now you get looked at like if you were to try to, approach a house fire without SCBA on, you look like an alien. So,
yeah,
things can be done.
Well, we have to keep doing this and filling each other up, because I will tell you that I have weary days. I had a few this week, probably post-FDIC exhaustion effect, but you guys fill me up, and thank you for that. And
thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Yeah. Appreciate it. And we sit here and chat all evening, but there's it's 10:11 Eastern Standard Time. Nobody's in bed, and it's a school night. And they're going to be tired and mean. I get to go to work at Granville tomorrow morning, and she's got to deal with them all standing over their cereal, grumpy face.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Good night. All right, I want to stop recording.